Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast powered by Jana King. That's you, Parker. All
Yes,
you.
folks, Jana King is the greatest team to ever clean and a proud sponsor of OU Athletics. We're pleased and thankful to have them on board as the title sponsor of the OU Insider Under the Visor podcast. Jana King delivers spotless results from stadiums to any size business across the country. Visit janaking.com for unbeatable commercial cleaning services. Go Sooners. That's the message from Jana King, JANIKING.com, to get in touch with them today. Also want to remind you that this podcast is brought to you in part by Mando. Now, I'm sure you have heard me and Brandon talk about Mando whole body deodorant at this point, and you can use it on your whole body. Yes, your whole body. It's dermatologist tested and gentle on all your bits. Brandon and I love the Mando bourbon leather body wash. It is without question our favorite product. Smells amazing, works like a charm. And that's only scratching the surface of Mando's outstanding lineup of products. What I love about the Mando Bourbon Leather Body Wash is that if you take advantage of the offer that I'm about to mention to you, you can get it in a travel size. And Brandon and I, we're traveling a lot this time of year. So it's quite useful to have your favorite body wash in that powerful little bottle to take with you everywhere you go and save space in the meantime. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash and the deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, we have a discount code to help you get hooked on our favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code INSIDER at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. And one last thing, folks, if you haven't already downloaded the Autograph app, what are you waiting for? link.ag.fan/boomer and use promo code BOOMER to start earning rewards just for being a fan and interacting with plenty of other OU fans on the Autograph Oklahoma community. With that,
Hey, by the way, Parker.
yes,
Ready Mustafari. They have a
Mustafa
new
Rai.
Mustafari. Why do I do that? I say Mustafari every time.
There's a lot of letters. I think you
Yeah.
would understand.
Um. Anyways, they have an awesome shirt coming out that is very geared towards OU Texas.
Oh,
All you have to do is go to at shopdoubleteam.com or to the Twitter at shopdoubleteam, and you can see it. I will be wearing it this week at some point during one of our podcasts because he's sending it to me to wear. He wants me to wear it. I'm not wearing it in solidarity with the University of Oklahoma, or they're not part of the University of Oklahoma, obviously, but it is an upside down. It's awesome. Y'all just need to go look at it, and you'll see it on one of our podcasts. I told him I'd wear it. I'd push it out there for him. I don't ever wear OU stuff, but that shirt's pretty awesome. So I just said I would do it. I just was like, hey, dude, I'll do it. It's an awesome polo, man. Those things are awesome. So, anyways, go. There's a
UT and
lot to
Double
choose from.
Team. Yeah, they do make some fantastic
Thunder
polos.
stuff,
No question about
Mavericks, all that. Yep.
And
So,
it's a great time to go and grab you a Double Team polo because on OU Texas Week, you're going to see a lot of folks at the Cotton Bowl and down in downtown Dallas wearing those polos. They are
yep.
immensely popular.
Yep. Very awesome. All right. On that note, it is OU Texas week. And at the same time, we're on the heels of, is it 2007? Is that what it is?
That was 2007. That was just completely chaotic, start to
Yeah.
finish that
And
season. And it felt like every single week the number 2 team in the country would lose. It was the
and
curse of
that's
the
exactly
curse
what
of
it
number
starts
2.
to happen. Yeah, that this year has been this year's drunk, bro. and I'm here for it. Which leads me to what this weekend's going to be, right? Like you look at the schedule for this weekend's college football slate, and it's a chef's kiss of college football. As far as all the good teams playing. But to have to have this weekend coming up on following a weekend where it looked like it was just going to be crap, Parker, to the point that our football team scheduled two games in Dallas because the schedule was one, OU was on a bye week. Two, my son's team, we looked at the schedule. We're like, yeah, there's nothing going to happen this weekend. You don't need to be sitting around watching college football. Let's go play some games down in Dallas. I look at my phone and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? It was chaos, Parker. Mass chaos in college football. And I think you got to start with Alabama Vandy, right?
I mean, here's the thing. You can start several different places, but yes, the most natural starting spot would be Alabama Vandy because uh, I'll make this analogy, Brandon. Growing up on lazy Sundays back home in Nebraska, sometimes we would put a NASCAR race on the television. None of us were like NASCAR people. I mean, we grew up in Nebraska, right? No one is a NASCAR
Yeah.
person there. But if it's a lazy Sunday afternoon in like April, and you're looking for a sporting event or pseudo sporting event to entertain you, pass the time, there's always NASCAR on. And so there's a term in NASCAR that they use to refer to what seems to be inevitable large crashes and consequential crashes at super speedways, restrictor plate races. They
Right.
call it the big one. And every time you watch a restrictor plate race, every time there is a restrictor plate race at Daytona International Speedway or Talladega Super Speedway down in Alabama, they talk of avoiding the big one because you know it's
Yep.
coming at some point. You know there's going to be carnage, and it could happen at the front of the pack. It could happen at the back of the pack, but inevitably it's going to collect a lot of vehicles. And typically, if you emerge victorious in a race like that, you will at some point in time have had to avoid the big one. And there's no real way to make sense of what happened in college football on Saturday, Brandon. Like, you can't make sense of Vanderbilt beating Alabama. That's why we love college football. Some days you get a kid like Diego Pavia from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who goes the JUCO route to New Mexico State and then to Vanderbilt,
Yep.
and he comes up and plays the game of his life against the
He's
number
been doing
one
it
team
all
in the
year,
nation.
though.
Oh, he's amazing. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but to play the way that he did, completely fearless in that football game against the Crimson Tide and be able to help them hang on at home and secure a victory. That's the type of thing that you just can't, because it takes more than Diego Pavia, right? It takes more than Diego Pavia to win that football game. You need Brandon Fontenette getting that gift of a bounce
Yep.
on the Jalen Milrow pick six, where the ball just caroms straight up in the air and he's waiting there, sitting under it, and he can grab it on the run and house it and stake Alabama to an early 13-0 lead. It takes a village to win a game like that. It takes
Oh my
more than
God.
one guy in Diego Pavia. But the same token, you watch that game, and if Diego Pavia doesn't make a few of the key throws that he did, such as that beautiful downfield shot on, I think it was a 4th and 5 in no
It was
man's
fourth and
land,
five. Yep.
right? Yeah, you think
Yep.
you think they're just trying to get to the marker. No, Pavia unloads as he's rolling to his left, kind of fading away from the play, and just delivers this perfect ball to the end zone for a touchdown. No one counted on this. No one could have looked at those two teams on paper and said, okay, yep, Vanderbilt is going to be the team that creates the most chaos and is the toast of the town in college football by the end of the evening. But that's what happened, and that's only scratching the surface. I mean, Texas A&M housed Missouri. Miami got bailed out by the officials again, or they would
Yeah.
have lost to the woke agenda, as they call themselves, out in Berkeley.
And I was behind that woke. I'm not a political person, but Saturday I was all woke. I was all I can't.
Oh, the Cal Twitter mob
I'm
is
anti woke, but
hilarious,
I'm
man.
all woke, baby. On
Oh,
Saturday,
the
it was
Cal Twitter
awesome.
mob is hilarious.
Yeah.
You've seen all those tweets, right?
Oh, I have, and the signs were epic on game day. We were watching it as we were. My son was watching it, and he was showing me them, as we were driving down to Dallas, and it was funny. They were hilarious.
Number 10
Treated.
Michigan goes down. Number 11 USC goes down. You have number 4 Tennessee on the road in Fayetteville. They get upset. All of those losses, Brandon, the three I just referenced, all coming to unranked teams.
And
This week 6 in college football, this was the big one. And when there's some kind of dark magic in the air, like there obviously was on Saturday,
yeah,
where you want to be if you're the Oklahoma Sooners, sitting right at home.
yep, that's exactly right. But I think it started kind of something I think we're going to see the rest of the season. We've been we've college football has been flirting with this type of weekend for a while now. Obviously,
Mm.
Miami has been flirting with disaster all season. Um, I know people want to go back to that OU Tennessee game. They're like, well, Tennessee won by 10 and blah, blah. 5 minutes left. Oklahoma was driving down the field that they could have had any sort of like consistency. At that point in time, it was the offensive line was banged up, all
In
that type of stuff. They score, you're down six with like 4.5 minutes left, right?
Well,
Like
and in the aftermath of that Tennessee Arkansas game, what I've
it
seen a lot of
showed you
OU
what OU did,
fans,
right?
what I've
Yeah,
seen a lot of OU fans saying on social media, knew they would was, well, if Hawkins starts that game, OU beats Tennessee, which may be true, admittedly,
maybe
like
true.
that may
Yeah,
very well be true.
maybe true. Yeah.
But I think the bigger takeaway from Saturday's action,
Nico isn't everything that we thought he was. I mean, he's really flashy, but is he everything that we thought he was?
no, I was just going to say, like in an even broader sense,
Okay.
I think the bigger takeaway from the action on Saturday is that if you're in Oklahoma's shoes, you can now legitimately look at the entire rest of that schedule and know and believe that there is no opponent that is untouchable. I would have said that about Alabama. I'm pretty sure I did say that about Alabama last week. Like, there's no chance
We
OU's
all
beating
did. We're like,
Alabama.
yeah,
Yeah,
chalk that
yeah,
up as
there's
an
no
L.
chance, right?
We were
And
driving from Auburn saying
and to
that.
be clear, like I wouldn't pick Oklahoma over Alabama right now because Oklahoma's going to have to play a darn near lights out flawless football game like Vanderbilt did in order to give themselves a chance against Alabama. But what Vanderbilt showed you over the weekend is it can be done.
Yeah.
It can be done. Also, Texas A&M beating Missouri 41-10. What does that say about the type of team that Missouri actually is? Are they to be feared? I mean, you look at this schedule the rest of the way, Bray. I saw those eyebrows.
Mm.
You look at the schedule the rest of the way, and yes, what happens this weekend in the Red River Showdown, as we will discuss later in the week, is going to be hugely significant as far as the
Mm.
trajectory of the remainder of Oklahoma's season. But if they can find a way to go and win that football game, Brandon, if they can find a
I mean,
way to go and get it done, man, like, and you
wasn't there
don't,
already bulletin board material?
there was indeed from Colin Simmons, yes. You don't want to get too high too fast, as Oklahoma kind of did last year after beating Texas in that football
Yeah.
game. But double digit wins isn't out of the question. Is not out of the question. Now, here's what's also true. Here's what's also true, Brandon. The nature of the SEC in the year of our Lord 2024 is that, yes, if you're a team like Oklahoma, you can beat anybody. It's now been demonstrated that you can beat anybody on your schedule. You can also lose to anybody.
Yeah.
That goes both
Strictly the number
ways.
one team in the
Two-way
country.
street.
Yeah. True. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that Texas isn't the best team in the country because I think they are right now. I think that is, it's either them or Ohio State, right? Like,
That appears to be the top two right
yeah.
now. It does, yes.
I mean, I think that's, and again, Ohio State's got to go and play at Oregon. Now, I know Oregon's shown some vulnerabilities, this year, but this year's drunk. So I don't really know what to make of every weekend. All I know is this weekend's going to be amazing. Last weekend was amazing when it wasn't supposed to be amazing, which again, there's going to be some people that are going to say, well, last weekend wasn't supposed to be any good, and it was the best weekend of the season as far as college football wins. So this weekend, when it looks like it's going to be amazing, it's going to be a bunch of blowouts, right? I really don't think that's going to be the case. Obviously, Colin Simmons with him saying he's going to dump. I think the funniest thing about Colin Simmons' thing where he said he was going to, Texas was going to dominate. How many times have you watched that? Like, watch his face after he does it. Like, he has that moment where he realized exactly what he just said and then tries to start reining it in. And he's like, and the coaches we just got to do what our coaches tell us to do and get ready and we'll go out there and play the best of our abilities and blah blah blah. But this is after you said you were going to dominate. I think we're going to dominate Oklahoma. And then he pauses, looks
Mhm.
down, and he's thinking, and I know he's sitting here, his life is flashing before his eyes. Sark is seeing this interview and he knows Sark's seeing this interview and he's going, I'm screwed. Why did I just do this? 2 weeks before OU Texas. And that's exactly what the comments said in that little, you know, 30-second clip. It is hilarious. So, um, I know Danny Stutzman was on, I think, with Teddy and Gabe yesterday, and he essentially said, like bulletin board, he's going to say the right things. He's a senior. He
Yes.
knows what to say. But he also said he was hoping Alabama lost so that they could play the number one team in the country because that's what you go to play. But he didn't say it like in a bulletin board way. He said because that's why you come back. That's why I came back because I wanted to play in games like that
Yeah.
my last season. So
When was the last time OU played the
1984.
the no no no? Well, I know the answer to that one. But when was the last time OU played the number one team in the country in the regular season? Not just Texas, but any number one team in the country in the regular season. It's been a
Was it
while.
2001?
You have to go back that far? Maybe so.
Is it
I don't know the answer. That's
no,
me
well, OU
legitimately
was
asking.
number one because number one, wasn't Nebraska like number three or what?
If
Ooh,
do
Parker.
do you have to
That's a good
go
question.
like do you have to go all the way back to 2000 when Nebraska came to town? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
If we have any
Did Mike
trivia
Houck tweet
nerds,
that stat out yet?
I
That
have not
that's
seen it
Mike
if
Houck
so.
tweet right there.
Yeah. If we have any trivia nerds in the comments, let us know. When was the last time OU faced the number one team in the country in the regular season? It might just be 2000 against Nebraska, unless I have committed a terrible oversight, which may in fact be possible because there's a lot of years to mentally comb through between then and now. But that's obviously the one that springs to mind. So, yeah, Brandon, I mean, I think it's awesome. I think it's great that Texas is the number one team in the country coming into this game because it already means so much between these two programs, but now it means a little more, both for Texas and for Oklahoma, right? Because
Mhm.
Texas has not really been challenged. Michigan is very evidently not who we thought they were, or maybe they're exactly who you thought they were. I don't know. But that's not a legit contender in 2024 in college football. And the Longhorns have yet to face a team this season that's going to give them the type of matchup problems that Oklahoma is capable of giving them. Now, you still got to go play 60 minutes of clean football, but this team is going to give Texas more of a run for their money, I would think, than anybody to this point has because those first 5 games of the season for Texas, and I'll give them credit. I'm not trying to say going to the big house and winning is just something to wave your hand at, but Oklahoma's the best team that Texas has played or will have played thus far this season.
Yeah, no, I was obviously OU's Texas is the best team that Oklahoma will have played in. And obviously, they played Tennessee. But yeah, I look Michigan. Hmm, hmm, I mean, they've been they haven't been great all year. I'm trying to be not I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice. Like they're not very good. Their defense isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. That's the other thing that's kind of shocking, right? Like I thought their defense would be kind of a juggernaut, you know. Um, and it's not. And Texas probably could have named the score of that game if they wanted to. It felt like that. Felt like Texas kind of called the dogs back in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they were trying to get out of there.
yeah,
Justifiably
and
so.
yeah, they were up 30 some I don't remember what the score exactly was, but they were killing them. And it felt like I don't know. That game went exactly like I thought it was going to go because outside of Ohio State and Michigan last year, I'll give Michigan last year, but outside of Ohio State, all the Big Ten teams, and I'll even give you Oregon, and Washington last season, all that type of stuff. But the older Big Ten teams, like old school Big Ten teams, they just don't ever play Southern teams like you know what I mean, like they're supposed to. And by the way, Mike Houck coming in clutch, 2000 Nebraska is the correct answer on the last time OU played the number one team. Thank you, Mike Houck, OU's director of communications.
And
All
that's
right,
why it pays to have the stats man on speed dial.
that's right. So I texted him instantly. I was like, brother, help me out here. So, all right. Yeah. I just I look at Texas's schedule so far, and I think the fact that Oklahoma went to Auburn and played Tennessee, and I know Tennessee just lost to Arkansas, is probably going to help OU, to be honest, in this game. I think they're more battle tested. Now, I'm not sitting here predicting an Oklahoma win, but I also believe that
Does that mean you're sitting here predicting a Texas win, Brandon?
I'm not predicting that either. I'm not predicting anything at this junction. It's a Monday morning, bro. Not happening. You're not getting me in that one.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It the game intrigues me this week in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. Mainly because I've been on record saying this and you've been on record saying this that we both believe no matter the outcome, Michael Hawkins is going to have the game of his life. We believe that. We've
I do
predicted
believe
that.
it.
I
I
believe
do
that as
believe it.
well. I don't know what in my gut makes me feel that way, but I've felt that way since the Auburn game. That Oklahoma was going, that Hawkins was going to show up and play out of his mind. And I think it has a lot to do with the bye week and them. They're they're readjusting things offensively. Like that is what they're doing.
Hmm.
They're they tailored a lot of things towards Jackson Arnold to start the season. And he struggled with the thing that he is best at, which is just the weirdest thing, and that is RPOs. He's ran RPOs since he was in seventh grade, and he's done it at an elite level, and he's struggled at it right now. And that's something nobody could figure out. And maybe it's because Seth Littrell hasn't called RPOs for most of his career, if not all of his career, up until Jackson Arnold became his quarterback. So there's a lot of things that Seth Littrell had to learn. And when you have an offensive play caller calling things that they're not comfortable with or 100% comfortable with, and it's not their system, it was more Levy's system, right? There, you get that type of instability that we saw offensively. Like that is what happens 9 times out of 10. And so a lot of things that they're doing now, they're going to run some RPO still, but it has to be with in the comfort zone of Seth Littrell's offense and within the flow of the game. It can't be every call is an RPO where there's a bubble screen over to the right, there's slant over to the left, there's a corner also going over here, when you're reading the safety and the linebackers and what they do. And you also have a zone blocking scheme going on with you're riding the mesh point the whole time. Like you can't do that every play unless you're Josh Heupel or Kiffin or somebody that has been within that Brile system for years. So it's a learned process as far as calling it. And Latrell been around it for 1 year, and then they expected him to go out there and just be Levy. That wasn't realistic. So Hawkins runs Latrell's offense better than his actual offense that he's
Yeah.
ran his whole career better than Arnold. That's a given.
Hmm.
So I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff happening. You're going to see more gap blocking. You're going to see more counters. You're going to see a lot of things that they haven't been able to install yet because they went from running Levy's offense versus Tennessee to having 1 week to prepare for Auburn and just kind of crash course, right? Get everything done. Now you're going to be what, 3 weeks in, Parker? It should be much more fluid. You're going to have guys back potentially 100% on the offensive line. You're going to have dudes back. You're going to be fully throttled again, right? Like 100%. You're good to go on the offensive line. Where's Deion Burks at? We don't know. Where's he standing? You're going to have Taylor Tatum back. We know that. But you need Deion Burks back in a bad, bad way. And I don't know that he comes back yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm still not terribly optimistic about that. And
Me
look,
either.
we got a whole week ahead to talk about this football game and preview it, as we will on the pregame podcast, which will drop Thursday, Friday, something like that. Something a little bit closer to game time, Brandon. But I I want to go back to something that we didn't hit on earlier with regard to the week 6 action that certainly uh, is relevant and significant to the SEC as a whole, the conference that Oklahoma now plays in, and that is Texas A&M. They lose the season opener to Notre Dame. They're 5-0 since then, and they put it on Missouri, as I mentioned. That game tell you more
Do
about Missouri or more about Texas A&M? Is that Texas A&M team legit, or is Missouri that fraudulent?
you really, I wanted you to be the one to answer that. They already hate you.
Who?
Missouri fans.
Well, then give them the answer they want.
Oh, I'm not going to give him. I'm giving the real answer.
Okay, give them the
Missouri.
real answer then.
I thought Missouri. I'm saying it. I'm sorry, Missouri fans. Don't hate me for this. I don't know how you can. Brody Cook hasn't exactly been killing it offensively this season, but they. I thought Missouri was overrated from the get go. They weren't a top 10 team. I think that was very clear within the first few weeks of the season when Vanderbilt took them to task in overtime and obviously missed a field goal. You guys walked out of it clean, right? But at the same time, I don't know what Texas A&M is, Parker.
I
They
think
have
that's a good
wins.
football team. I
I
really do.
I think they're I don't but how good? Are they top 15 good?
I believe so. Yes. Now they're not like I don't know if I'd put them in the top 10. If I would, I'd put them on the
Their schedule's so easy
bottom
too.
rung, but I think
Oh,
that's a
it's
top
easy.
15 program. I mean, like look, Missouri's not bad, right? Like, maybe they're not elite. I don't think they are, but they're not bad.
No, but I don't
And
think
Texas,
they're
like, to win a game like that, to win an SEC conference game against a top 10 opponent, I get it's at home. That gives you an advantage, sure, whatever. To win that game by 31 points, and it was not that close, Brandon. That scoreboard
no.
did not accurately tell the story of how lopsided that game was because Texas A&M manhandled Missouri from the jump. To win that game in the style and the fashion that they did, that was a statement, at least to me, from Texas A&M. Very impressive performance, all in all.
Mhm. Yeah, I've just Cook was supposed to be like this, the greatest quarterback ever. He's got Luther Burden. He has Theo Weiss. Like, by the way, we're like skimming over this whole, I don't know, Theo Weiss, Texas A&M blanket in his. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun story for a few hours, and
I mean, the
then
drink had to have done that, right?
I don't know.
There's no A&M person that did that, right?
I don't know. There might be some wealthy A&M super fan that paid a hotel employee $500, tell him where Theo Weiss's room was, and let him in for
But
the
they,
first
but
time.
they,
Because I don't know, like
but they don't give them room. They hand them keys and tell them what room they're going to. Like they're just rent. Like they have them blocked up. That's how they are. They don't be like Theo Weiss is staying in this room. It's Missouri football has these rooms blocked off, and they just hand them keys, and this is your room. So how would
that's
they
some pretty
know?
meticulous planning on Drinkwitz's part for something that ultimately did not matter in the slightest in the outcome of the football game.
It's
So
funny
I
though.
don't know if I buy that theory, but yeah, I think I want to wait because I don't want to be reactionary. But by the end of the season, we might be talking about Missouri in the same vein as TCU last year, right? Because there are teams and there have been teams that have continually, like Missouri might be the last team that got the COVID boost, if you will,
Mhm.
where I think, and Cody Schrader is maybe the best example that comes to mind, a guy that wouldn't have been around save for COVID and certainly wouldn't have been what he was for Missouri last year save for COVID. And you get that extra year of eligibility for a bunch of guys that bring a ton of value to the table and still get to play college football as 23, 24-year-old dudes. And you manage to milk a memorable season out of those guys and out of that team as Missouri did in 2023.
Mhm.
But what happened to TCU after they went to the national championship? It all came crashing back to earth. The bill comes due at some point, Brandon. You can't you can't kick the can down the road forever. At a
But
certain point, regression to the mean is going to come in a vicious manner.
didn't we all kind of say that start the season? Like, hey, Missouri, you probably need to like tone it down a little bit. Like you guys had some pretty significant pieces leave your program
Yes. Yeah,
and
no,
and,
no, no, no.
and
Don't get me wrong. Like Missouri, I don't think anybody expected that they were going to replicate 11-2. But
their fans
they didn't
did.
they didn't lose everybody from last year because you still got Brady Cook, you still got Luther Burden, right? You bring in Toriano Pride and
Your
Chris
number one is the
McClellan.
number one enemy for him right now, though.
Brady
Their
Cook
fan
is,
base. Oh my gosh.
well, I mean, look, you lose a game by that many points, everybody's going to have it out for the starting quarterback. We know this.
Well, I think it has more to do with how he's played this season, and the expectations that were put before him this season. I'm gonna pull his stats up for us just so we can do this here real quick. Brady Cook stats, and let's see how Homeboy is playing. Well, he actually isn't doing that bad overall. It's not great. It's not great. And here, the funny thing is he's not turning the ball over, Parker. He's not. But he only has 1,100 yards passing, 5 touchdowns to 1 interception. If I told you to start the season, Brady Cook's going to have Theo Weiss and Luther Burden still on his team to throw to. Would you expect more than 5 touchdown passes
Through
through
5 games,
5 games?
I likely would. Yes.
Okay. So I think that's their frustration. Like, what is going on? Where are the big plays at?
Yeah.
I think that's I think in a nutshell, that's the issue for Missouri. Defensively, they're not horrible. They're not great, but they're not horrible. They're decent on
Mm,
defense. They're not what they were last year. Let's say that.
I will say they're closer to horrible than great. They are below average
That
defensively.
that I was being polite. I said average. They're decent. I was trying to be polite. They are not horrible, is my point. Like, and I get they're closer to horrible, but it, again, the pieces they lost. I mean, okay, you remember the draft, and everybody's like, "How is Missouri going to replace this?" And they go out and they get the transfer portal guys, and everybody was like,
Yep.
oh." And remember when Dominic Williams chose OU, right? When it
Yes.
was Missouri and all that, and their fan base sit there and said they don't need Dominic Williams. He's not that great. Missouri fans, have you watched Dominic Williams this year? He's pretty good. And that's not to say that OU is great on defense. But Parker, would you not classify OU as very good defensively?
I would classify them as very good defensively right now. Yes,
Okay,
that is fair.
there we go. And that may change after this week. Who knows? But through 5 games, they've been very good. So Dominique Williams would have helped. Um, Trying to think of what did you watch the whole Arkansas Tennessee game?
I did not watch the whole game. I watched the second half.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Nico,
It's clear he's a first year starter.
yes. And all this hubbub of did you see what he did to Iowa's defense and blah blah blah, and then Oklahoma completely shut him down outside of like 2 big plays, right? Norman, those 2 big plays changed the fabric of the ball game,
They did.
right? So you got to give credit where credit's due there. Um, but they were mishaps that should not have taken place anyways. But yeah, I don't I'm not I'm not sure that Tennessee's offense is what we thought it was. They laid it on a bunch of cupcakes, and then the second they played somebody with a pulse, came to a screeching stop, brother.
And Oklahoma has a lot on their shoulders this weekend because if Texas goes and wins that football game, the narrative is care to fill in the blank?
OU is lucky. I
No,
don't
Texas
know.
is the best team in the SEC, Brandon. That's what's at stake
That's
here.
but that already is a narrative going into this game.
Okay, yeah, okay. Technically, yes, they're the only undefeated team left.
That's why I didn't guess. Why I didn't guess that. That's why I didn't guess. I thought they already were. Technically, they are, but I still think OU can win the game. Parker,
Oh, I do too.
not
And we'll talk
predicting
about
it.
that more in the
Yep.
pregame podcast, certainly.
Yep. Oh, yeah, there's so much to talk about this week. Like, and we're like trying not to like dive too
I
far into it.
know. I know.
Parker,
It'll be a
folks,
fun
Parker's,
pregame podcast.
you've reeled me in like 3 times. I've been like starting to go into the pregame stuff and talk about what, but it doesn't matter what I say right now. It's Monday. Post practice pressers are tonight, and then you've got the Brent Venables weekly presser on Tuesday. And then the fun begins Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And that's where the real fun begins. And we hope to have some good content for you guys this week as far as videos and recordings go. We're obviously going to have great content for you over on OU Insider, but like we are working on some special content for you guys. How about that? Something that's very unique to this game in particular. So, um, it is something that is in the works potentially. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But at least we tried, right? At least we tried. Sometimes you can't get what you want. And this is gonna be a tough ask. Parker and I discussed it last night. It will be a tough ask. So we'll try. Um, was there anything else this past weekend where you were just like, what in the world? Outside of the obvious?
I mean, that USC Minnesota game, certainly, but
It's a good game. But Riley doing Riley
Minnesota is
things.
exactly the type of Big Ten team that Lincoln Riley and USC are going to struggle with
Mm-hmm.
forever as long as he's there. It's exactly
Mm-hmm.
the type of Big Ten team that's going to be his kryptonite.
Kansas State.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is. Kansas State.
It'll be like
Um,
Missouri, or not Missouri, but it'll be
Iowa
like
State.
Minnesota and Indiana
Oh
and
yeah.
like oddly Northwestern or Purdue. Like there'll be that one
Illinois.
team that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The weird team. Yeah, much like Utah, right? And when he went over to the pack, because they play a certain style. And it's that we don't care what you can do, we're going to shove this ball down your throat. No matter the down and distance, it is going to be a bloodbath on every play. And that is Riley's teams do not play well in those situations ever, ever, ever. So, anyways, All right. That'll do her. Hey, if you are an Oklahoma City or Tulsa person right now and you have roofing issues, I want to make sure that you guys go ahead and give my guy Kyle Eckberg a call over at E2 Roofing. Um, E2 Roofing is licensed and insured. They're a big time company. They'll come to you in Oklahoma City. Obviously, the storms have hit, people's roofs have been damaged, and maybe you haven't noticed it yet. But if you do, make sure you call Kyle Eckberg, E2 Roofing Company, 918 212 4944. Again, 918 212 4944. They will come and hook you up. And if you tell them that OU Insider and or Under the Visor Sooners podcast sent you their way, they will really, really hook you up. So make sure you give them a call. All right. If you're not a member of OU Insider, $9.95 a month, $99.95 for the whole year. If you're a college student, you have a .edu, email us, ouinsider@rivals.com. We will send you a promo code to get OU Insider for 1 year for just $11.95. It's essentially basically a trip to Starbucks at this point in time. Maybe you miss a day of Starbucks that month, but you get OU Insider for a whole year, $11.95. It's not even $1 a month in average. It's worth it. Email us from your .edu. It has to be from a .edu. It doesn't matter what college you go to. Doesn't matter. You email us from .edu or you have a .edu and you email us. We will hook you up. $11.95 for the whole year of OU Insider. Email us ouinsider@rivals.com. Send you the promo code. Make sure you're subscribed right here. Hey, the subscriptions help us. It helps us get ads. It helps us continue to bring more content to you guys. It helps us get, like, we're trying to work on some really creative things, and some of that comes with NIL. And guess what? The more that you guys help us out right here by subscribing, the more we can get ads, the more money we can push for NIL stuff to help maybe get some really cool content for you guys from the athletes. So that's what we're working on right now. So subscribe every day. Team, recruiting, doesn't matter, softball, baseball, basketball, football. It's all right here on OU Insider, YouTube, or whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Subscribe. It helps. It helps. I promise you. I promise you. Try to help us get to 20,000 before the season's over. We're almost to 17.5 right now. All right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. For Parker Thune, my name's Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed day.